What's the fair price of crypto? Unfortunately, we can't just use regular valuation models, right? We can't estimate future cash flows of stock dividends or of rental income. In crypto, we have to use different valuation models. And I believe the main driver of crypto prices is psychology. Now, when everything is down, people are less inclined to sell because people don't want to lock in those profits. When everything goes up, people might take profit. That's why it's so important to look at the average cost basis of the market. That's why it's so important to look at realized profits, unrealized profits. Let's have a look at that data, because that's the beauty of the blockchain, right? We can see what's the net unrealized profit and losses. Let's have a look at this for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin obviously has a massive influence on the rest of crypto. So here we are, the net unrealized profit and loss for Bitcoin since Bitcoin's existence. So in black, we've got the long-term Bitcoin price on a logarithmic scale, and color-coded, we've got the net unrealized profit and loss. During the COVID crash, for example, we had been net for all of Bitcoin holders in aggregate in losses. This was also true after the FTX collapse. Usually at the end of a bull run, we tend to be in the green territory, so this might be the time when taking profit is likely beneficial. And again, the reason why I believe this is such a helpful chart is because people tend to not sell anymore when they see red everywhere in the portfolio. And when the profit is large enough, when even with your Bitcoin portfolio, the average market participant is more than 70% in profit, in unrealized profit, then the likelihood is high that people take profit, the likelihood is high that people rebalance their portfolios, and that maybe some of that profit even gets used for consumption. Now we can have a look at this in a bit more detail. We can distinguish between the short-term holders and the long-term holders. When the short-term holders are in losses, we tend to see a short-term bounce. When the long-term holders are in losses, we tend to see a reversal in the over macro cycle. So again, we are not trying to value Bitcoin here. We are simply just working with the psychology of the market. Now we are going to look at 4 different charts here. The first chart is again the net unrealized profit and loss, this time not color-coded, but simply just as an orange graph. And we can see how the peaks tend to be slightly declining over time, right? Have a look at this peak in 2013 and compare this with the peak recently in 2024. The unrealized profit tends to decline over time, which makes sense because overall volatility in Bitcoin also tends to decline. The same is true, by the way, for the bottoms, right? The crashes aren't that bad anymore. The market in aggregate had been at a loss of 78% after the Silk Road and Mt. Gox collapse in 2015. The final capitulation after the ICO boom in 2018 brought us down to only minus 44%. The FTX collapse brought us down. So both the ups and the downs get more tame over time. But again, this is the entire market, all of net unrealized profit and loss. Let's now look at short-term holders versus long-term holders. This video is sponsored by the premium membership. I never take any money from any crypto project. I never take any affiliate links from centralized exchanges. I never pump and dump coins. Instead, I offer valuable tutorials in the premium membership. Feel free to check it out. So here are those 2 charts. Let's start off with the short-term holders. I believe the most important thing when considering to buy those short-term dips is to find an exit very, very quickly. Because let's zoom into this a bit. Buying bottoms like this when the short-term holders are in losses by 30% or so only makes sense if you're then subsequently selling after a recovery of 10, 20, maybe 30%. You do want to exit rather quickly because the macro can potentially build much lower lows. So really, when considering to buy those short-term holder bottoms, make sure to exit. Do not turn short-term speculation into long-term holding and then get crushed by potentially another 50% drop. It's easier to ride those long-term waves. So here's the net unrealized profit and loss of the long-term holders. This also tends to decline for the bottoms. It tends to decline for the tops as well. Currently, the long-term holders tend to be quite a bit in profit still. So this would, just on a macro scale, indicate that we could fall again quite a bit. Here's the chart, just everything combined. So the short-term holders are in red, all holders are in orange, the long-term holders are in blue. The short-term holders aren't that much in losses at the moment, so it doesn't even make sense to buy based on that. The long-term holders are massively in profit, so I believe being somewhat cautious is justified. We are not yet in euphoria mode, so the indicator here by check on chain is not turning red, but going all in on crypto now, I believe, is not very reasonable either. Now here's something noteworthy. The current level that we are currently at is somewhat similar to what we have seen in June, July of 2019. And at that point, momentum really slowed down, and then the negative price action got accelerated during the COVID crash. I know not everybody wants to hear this, but I think there is a chance that we could see a deceleration of price movements yet again. We could potentially see how long-term holders take more profit. And so if you compare those two price peaks, right, June of 2019 to March of 2024, then maybe we are going to see something comparable. This is not exact science, of course, but if your portfolio can't withstand a drop to potentially 35,000, then I do believe you might be potentially overexposed. I do think that long term we will crack the 100k and 200k, maybe even 300k, but momentum definitely slowed down quite a bit since April of this year. And again, it's all about psychology, right? It's not what's the fair value of Bitcoin. It's about what's the average cost basis. Are people currently in losses or in profit? And if people are in profit, there is a chance that that profit is taken by some people. Feel free to give this a like. It helps the channel grow. Feel free to also subscribe. I publish videos regularly on this channel. In case you've got Telegram, then you are more than welcome to join us. The link is down below. It's 100% free. Looking very much forward to chatting with you. Cheers.